to the bloodstream. And exocrine glands are glands of the body without ducts. And there are 8 endocrine glands. We went through all the 8 endocrine glands. The first one was pituitary gland, which you also called it as master gland. And also said that hypothalamus is the master organ in the brain, which actually stimulates the pituitary gland. And then we went about pineal gland, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, pancreas. Then we went into adrenal and then gonads. You went about the differences between enzymes and hormones. Then we discussed about pituitary gland in detail. There you said it has anterior and posterior, both paths. So there are secretions done by anterior pituitary and secretions which are done by posterior pituitary. And then do you want me to go through in detail about those, ma'am, or is that good?
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So we
And
have.
pineal gland, then pineal gland, you said it's also located in the dorsal side of the midbrain, and then it has some specific functions like it regulates sleep, it promotes sleep, and also regulates the body's circadian rhythm. It has a secretion called melatonin. Then we went about thyroid gland, which is the largest endocrine gland, and it's situated in front of the larynx. It's butterfly shaped and consists of 2 lobes. And the part which separates these 2 lobes is called as isthmus, or these 2 lobes are rather joined by isthmus. And the hormones produced by thyroid are thyroxine, which is also called as tetraiodothyronine and triiodothyronine. So these are T3 and T4. Iodine, you said, is essential for the formation of thyroid hormone, and it regulates the body's heat reduction, metabolic processes, and also influences the physical and mental growth. Then we went into the parathyroid glands, which are 4 small glands just behind the thyroid gland. And then it produces a hormone called parath hormone, PTH. And its functions are it is regulated by the blood calcium levels. That is what you said about this. Then thymus gland, it is lying in the heart region, the thoracic cavity, and it has 2 soft lobes. It's part of our lymphatic system and secretes a hormone called thymosin. And it's necessary for the production of T cells in our immune system. And then we went about the pancreas. Pancreas is a leaf-shaped organ, which is about 12 to 15 centimeters. It's located in the epigastric region. It's a endocrine gland and also an exocrine gland. And endocrine cells are also called as islets of Langerhans. Contains alpha, beta, and delta cells. It secretes glucagon and insulin. These are the 2 hormones. Glucagon is released when the blood glucose levels are low, whereas insulin is secreted when the blood glucose levels are high. And there's one more hormone that it secretes. It's called as somatostatin. It produces the delta cells, which inhibits the release of the growth hormone. And then we went into the adrenal gland, which is also a cone-shaped or a triangular shaped gland located on top of the kidneys. Adrenal glands are composed of an outer layer called adrenal cortex and the inner adrenal medulla. It produces a hormone called, it produces various hormones. Then adrenal cortex, it secretes mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids and gonadocorticoids. All these 3 are known as corticosteroids. Then adrenal medulla, it produces epinephrine or adrenaline. It's also called adrenaline. And another one that adrenal medulla secretes is norepinephrine, or it's also called as noradrenaline. Then mineralocorticoid hormone, that is the one that produces aldosterone. And it's involved in maintaining the water and electrolyte balance in our body. Then glucocorticoid hormone produces cortisol, which is the main, which regulates the amount of cortisone and the corticosterone, these 2. And it also regulates the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It acts as an anti-inflammatory and anti-allergic. It helps the body to cope with stress. And gonadotrophic corticoids are also called as sex corticoids. These hormones are secreted by the adrenal cortex, and mainly androgen, which is a male sex hormone that's produced by this. And it's responsible for the development of secondary sexual organs. Adrenal medulla is completely surrounded by the adrenal cortex. Then we went into epinephrine. Epinephrine is also called adrenaline. It's known as the emergency hormone, as a stress hormone. It elevates different vitals such as blood pressure, it increases heart rate, cardiac output, it speeds the release of glucose from the liver, increases metabolic rate, dilates our pupils that we can see more clearly. It's often used to counteract a stressful reaction. And this is all the symptom of a sympathetic activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Norepinephrine hormone is also called as noradrenaline. Like epinephrine, it's released when the body is under stress, but this hormone is released when the body has to come back to normalcy. So just after the release of epinephrine, norepinephrine is released. Then we went about the gonads. There are two kinds: ovaries, which are in females, and testes, which are in males. So these are all paired. Ovaries are a pair of organs. Testes also are a pair of organs. These organs are called as gonads. Ovaries are the female reproductive organs, and testes are the male reproductive gonads. Okay, then we went into spleen, which was the last endocrine gland. It is called as the largest lymphatic organ, and it's located on the upper left part of the abdomen. It extends between the ninth and 11th ribs. It's also protected by the rib cage. It's a fist-shaped organ gland, which is like 12 centimeters long. It's surrounded by a capsule that's composed of dense fibrous tissues that provide the support that it needs. Spleen also acts as a blood filter. It also plays a very important role with regards to RBCs, the red blood cells, and the immune system. So that was about it. And there are two different types of tissues in the spleen. One is the red pulp, and the other one is the white pulp. So 76 to 79% of the normal spleen comprises of this red pulp. Okay, red blood filled sinusoids, or it also has endothelial cells. And red pulp tissue filters the blood and gets rid of the old and damaged red blood cells. So these red blood cells, which are old and damaged, are filtered by this pulp. And then the white pulp, it's arrayed with the red pulp matrix. It's lymphoid in nature. It consists of immune cells, which are the T cells and the B cells that help the immune system to fight any kinds of infections. So this is about it, ma'am.
Okay, you have written all these things. I am very happy with your notes, and you have completed about almost everything about endocrine system. And I'm really happy to see your notes and your efforts. So I think everyone got it. So that was a short introduction or short uh, note of endocrine system. So we have completed so many systems till now. Now today we are going to learn about the topmost governing body of all the systems, that is nervous system. Okay, like when a country or a school is having principal who is governing the whole school, or any institution having the head of that institution governing whole institution, a country is having its president and prime minister which is governing whole country. Like that only, our whole body is governed by our nervous system. Means all the systems are working in the instructions of nervous system. As the nervous system is telling to work, all the systems are working. Okay. So today we are going to start nervous system. Actually, I'm sorry for the slides. I remember that I have not shared the slides yet. I'm going through a very busy schedule, so I'm sorry for that. I will send you those slides as soon as possible. So now today I was not able to make new slides. I'm going through Rahul Bhaiya's slides now. So this is the flow chart of nervous system. You can see here. Primarily, nervous system is mainly divided into two parts, that is central nervous system or CNS and peripheral nervous system or PNS. Okay. So what central nervous system consists? Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Okay. Means and is our head or the brain, and the extension of brain we can say, that is spinal cord, is consisting of central nervous system. Another part of nervous system is peripheral nervous system, and this peripheral nervous system is consisting the peripheral nerves of our body, means the whole body except brain and spinal cord is under peripheral nervous system. Now, this peripheral nervous system is further divided into sensory pathways and motor pathways. And what are sensory pathways? Sensory pathways are those pathways which are receiving the information from the body and sending it to central nervous system. Okay, means just for example, suppose you are having a mosquito bite. A mosquito is biting in your hand or in your leg or any part of your body. Then let suppose that a mosquito is biting on your index finger of left hand. Now uh, sensory pathway is receiving, that means sensory nerve which is reaching to the index finger of left hand is receiving the information that a mosquito is biting. So the information is going from the sensory pathway or the peripheral pathway of the peripheral nervous system, and then brain is deciding that you should either you should stop it, means depends upon your tendency towards the outer world. Some people bite them, some people kill them, some people let them take suck the blood, and some people just ignore and let them fly away. So what we will respond, that comes under motor pathways, means sensory pathways are receiving the information and our response is under motor pathway. Okay. Now responses are of different types. Some responses are voluntary, some responses are involuntary. Like when we are having when we means dilation of pupil is a kind of motor action. So dilation it is automatic. In dim light our pupil changes its diameter, and in good light, when we are having enough light, it comes to it normal dilation. So this is also a part of our motor pathway or motor nervous system, but it is not in our voluntary control. And Some other things like heartbeat. When we need when we need a more cardiac output, or when we are stressed, or when we are in emergency situation, in that situation our heart starts beating fast. So that is not in our control, that is involuntary, but that also comes under motor function, because our body is responding for some situation. Mm, like suppose you just saw a snake is coming in front of you, so you will be scared by seeing the snake coming to you, then your heart will beat faster. So your body is responding after an external stimuli. After an external stimuli is coming to you, means you are seeing the snake, your sensory organ, that is your eye, your eyes are receiving information that you are seeing a dangerous thing, or fatal thing, or a poisonous thing in front of you that may harm you. So that sensory information is going to brain. Now your body will respond according to your habit. So your body is responding, motor pathways are acting, but it will depend upon voluntary and involuntary. If you have to fly away the mosquito, or if you have to kill the mosquito, it is under our voluntary control. Okay, so it is somatic. Which one is voluntary, that is somatic, and which one is involuntary, that is autonomic. So under motor pathway or motor nervous system, this motor nervous system is further divided into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Now what is somatic? Somatic means which is under our voluntary control, and autonomic means, auto means you already can understand by the word auto, it is involuntary. Automatically it will be done by its own. Like in autonomic nervous system, when our when we need more glucose in our body, so the stored glycogen in liver will automatically uh, convert into glucose, that is under our autonomic nervous system. Our respiratory rates will increase after running because we need more oxygen, that is our under autonomic nervous system. Yeah, we can control our breathing voluntarily, but automatically when we are running and we are standing after running, our breathing rate will go high, our heart rate will go high, our BP will go high, blood pressure will go high. So these are under our autonomic control, which we means we can't control our blood pressure as a normal human being. Yogis or Siddha yogis can control their blood pressure, control each and every part of their body, but we are normal human being, so we can't control these autonomic parts of our body. So motor pathways having somatic nervous system. These motor pathways are divided into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Now, this autonomic nervous system is further divided into sympathetic division and parasympathetic division. Now, what is sympathetic division? Sympathetic divisions having some signs and symptoms. Sympathetic division is like it is activated in stressful situation, or you have to fight or flight hormone will release here. Means immediately you have to take action. Like in sympathetic nervous system, when sympathetic nervous system is active, then our heart rate, respiratory rate, blood pressure, all these things will go high, and our digestive system will work slow. Okay, it's very simple. When all these things are high, then our digestive system will work slow. And it is just opposite in case of parasympathetic nervous system. In parasympathetic nervous system, the heart rate, respiratory rate, blood pressure, all these things will slow down, and our digestive system will work properly. So parasympathetic system is also known as rest and digest, and sympathetic system is also known as fight or flight. Means sympathetic nervous system will active when uh, any enemy came in front of you, and either you have to fight with that enemy, or you have to fly away from that place, right? Means just take an example of that snake only. Either you have to fight with the snake or just run away from that place. Okay, so fight or flight away from that place. This is the condition of sympathetic nervous system. Means this is a condition of sympathetic nervous system. In sympathetic nervous system, digestion is slowed down, and just opposite in parasympathetic nervous system. In parasympathetic nervous system, resting position is means in resting position, parasympathetic nervous system is activated. Means when we are resting, like now, if you people are just sitting and listening to me and seeing the slides, making your notes, that means you are in parasympathetic nervous system. All the system is working proper. All the systems of your body are working properly. If you had your food just before the class, then your food is well digesting right now with rest and digest period, and all the systems are going slow naturally, normally. But sympathetic nervous system activates when there is an emergency situation, or we have to work hard physically. So this is the base of nervous system. You have to remember this flow chart, or we have to understand this flow chart. Without understanding, it will be difficult to remember the flow chart. So any question, any query, any confusion, any doubt in this flow chart? Are you guys there?
No, ma'am. Clear only.
Good. There's no doubt.
Okay. So next, we are going to now the first part of our central nervous system, that is brain. Now, brain is covered by three protecting layers. Those layers are known as meninges. Okay, our brain is covered by three protecting layers. So these layers are known as meninges. Now, what are those three layers names? First one is dura mater. Second one is arachnoid matter. and third one is pia matter. Okay, so you can see in this picture, it's not very clear, but after the skull, means skull is the outermost part of it, means just beneath the skin, skull is present, and beneath the skull, these meninges are present. Okay, means we can touch the skin of our head, and just below the skin, skull is present, we can feel that, and just beneath the skull, three protecting layers are present, and those protecting layers collectively known as meninges. And the
And collectively known as meninges.
meninges, you can see here, it is written meninges in red color at the corner of screen, left side corner of screen. Meninges. Now, these layers of meninges are dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia matter. Dura mater is the outermost layer, arachnoid is the middle layer, and pia mater is the innermost layer. Now, it is actually I'm using Rahul Bhaiya's slides. I am going to through a very busy schedule, so I cannot make my slides. So there are some Hindi words. I will provide you English version. Just I'm using for the class today, please. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
you have to just adjust for the class. Okay. So I'm telling in English. You just understand through my words. So meninges are the layers protecting our brain. So मेनिंजेस इसमें सामान्यतः बुखार आता है, मस्तिष्क की लेयर में सूजन आने का प्रमुख कारण CSF की मात्रा बढ़ जाना. ओके, now after those meninges, brain is present. Okay, now brain is the part of our central nervous system, and brain is under those meninges. Now, brain is extending, and the extension of brain is a spinal cord. Spinal cord is not different from brain. It is the extension of brain only. Medulla oblongata and then spinal cord is extending from that hindbrain only. And this brain and spinal cord, mainly brain, control and coordinate our whole body. Now, control means movements, feelings, thoughts, memory actions, walking, speaking, all these are part of control. And what it coordinates, it receives sensory signals through sensory neurons and act through motor neurons. Okay, it receives sensory information from sensory neurons and act through motor neurons. This is the coordination of brain. Yes, sensory neuron receive the information, motor neuron act, means motor neurons actually do the work. Now, parts of brain. The brain is mainly divided into three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Now, forebrain is consisting of cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Then midbrain is also known as encephalon, And hindbrain is consisting of pons, medulla and cerebellum. Okay, and midbrain is consisting of encephalon. Now, cerebral means cerebrum is the largest part of brain. Or cerebrum is covering 80% of brain. Means you can see here in this picture, cerebrum is depicted in gray color. So cerebrum is covering 80% of our brain. And next is cerebellum. Cerebellum is located at the back side of our brain, or it is the part of hindbrain. You can see here in the picture the below this gray matter, orange like reddish orange like projection is there, that is cerebellum. So cerebellum having the just similar characteristics of cerebrum. So it is also known as small brain. Means cerebellum is looking like a very small part, but it controls so many parts of our body. Means it is very important part of our brain. It is looking like small, but it controls and coordinates so much vast area of our body. So it is also known as a small brain. Cerebellum is also known as small brain. So hindbrain is consisting of pons, medulla and cerebellum. The cerebrum is part of forebrain, but cerebrum is 80% of brain, and the second largest part of brain is cerebellum, and cerebellum is also known as small brain. There is a very important part of brain, that is brain stem, and brain stem consists of midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. Okay, and it is very important question that brain stem consisting of which parts of brain. It is consisting of midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. Now, see here. This picture is depicting the brain in a beautiful way. You can see here the pink colored major portion occurring the brain, that is cerebrum, and corpus callosum you can see here. It is depicted by greenish sea green color here, that is part of midbrain. And you can see here blue colored hypothalamus, and in between that hypothalamus, thalamus is present. And at the back side you can see, means back side of our brain, in screen it is in our right hand side, cerebellum. The front side is in the left side of screen here, and back side of our body is shown here in the right side of screen. So in back side you can see here a small brain like structure present, that is cerebellum. It's also known as a small brain, and it composes a tree like structure, right? Means when we were child, we used to draw tree like this cerebellum only. So cerebellum compose a tree like structure, and This is a very important part of brain. Now, brain stem is consisting of this medulla oblongata, uh, midbrain, and what we have just discussed: midbrain, medulla oblongata,
And
and
medulla oblongata, midbrain, brain, pons, and medulla oblongata.
yes, very good. So, this is a complete structure of brain. Next, cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part located in front and center of brain, and it is divided into two hemispheres, right hemisphere and left hemisphere. It is very similar to the structure of an what we call that, a throat.
What is this? Cerebrum is divided into two parts, is it?
Yeah, two hemispheres. It is divided into two hemispheres. Cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres, left hemisphere and right hemisphere, and it is very the structure is very similar to walnut. I hope you all have seen walnut. So it is very similar to the structure of walnut, and it is having left and right hemisphere. It is said that both hemisphere having a little bit different characteristics, but new researchers saying it different. It's a matter of contradiction, but generally it is said that left brain and right, means left hemisphere of cerebrum and right hemisphere of cerebrum has different characteristics. So, left hemisphere generally responsible for number skills, math, scientific skills, written language, spoken language, objectivity, analytical skills, logic, reasoning. And right brain is responsible for music, art, intuition, creativity, imagination, subjectivity, synthesizing, emotion, face recognition. All these things are controlled by right hemisphere of brain. Means it is said that the left hemisphere of brain is controlling right side of our body, and right hemisphere of brain is controlling left side of our body. So if we are lefty, means left-handed person, then our right hemisphere is active more in comparison to left hemisphere, and if we are right-handed person, then our left hemisphere is active more in comparison to right hemisphere. Okay, so means these two hemispheres are connected by corpus callosum. Okay, you can see in this picture, corpus callosum is depicted here in sea green color, just below the cerebrum. So this corpus callosum is connecting both the hemispheres of cerebrum. Now, functions of cerebrum. Cerebrum perform higher functions like interpretation, interpreting touch, vision, hearing, speech, reasoning, emotion, learning, full control of movement. Now, reasoning and problem solving, um, means I have just told you, that is written here, that right-handed person, uh, left brain is controlling right side of our body. So right-handed persons is having left left cerebrum active more in comparison to right cerebrum, and just opposite in case of left-handed person is having a right brain active more in comparison to left brain. Now, there are different lobes of brain, and these lobes are named after the skull. I hope you all remember the bones of skull, right? How many bones are there in skull?
8.
8. Now name those bones. Anyone else?
Frontal bone, temporal, occipital, parietal.
Yes, very good. Now tell me which bone is consisting, means which bone is of which number, means how many bones are there, means frontal bone is of, is it single bone or it is divided into two,
Frontal is single, man. Frontal is single.
and which bone is having two parts?
Parietal and temporal, those two are half.
Temporal bone is also. Yes, very good. So our lobes of this brain is also divided by the name of this bones only. So the frontal bone is covering frontal lobe, parietal bone is covering parietal lobe, temporal bone is covering temporal lobe, occipital bone is covering occipital lobe. Okay, and just below the brain, cerebellum is present, and then brain stem. So we will discuss now the functions of different lobes. Is it 9 o'clock? Okay, it is 8:55. So I think we should discuss the lobes and we should conclude. So frontal lobe, it's a center of knowledge, creativity, reasoning, judgment, ideas, logic, and dreams. You have to remember the functions of these lobes. Okay, these are important in question point of view. So frontal lobe is responsible for center of knowledge, creativity, reasoning, judgment, ideas, logic, and dreams. Now, parietal lobe, it is the center of perception of pain. Okay, pain perception is done by parietal lobe, and it is touch center, it is taste center, and it is temperature and pressure center. So now, with your common sense and logic, tell me which part of body will be much more connected to this parietal lobe.
The body.
Tongue and the skin, ma'am.
Yes.
Tongue
Repeat your
and the
question,
skin.
ma'am. Which
I am
part of
asking.
the body is connected to parietal lobe?
Yeah.
Our sense organs.
Yes, sense organs, but I am telling that, like you can see here, perception of pain, touch center, taste center, temperature.
Tongue and the skin, ma'am.
Yes, very good. And most importantly, tongue, it regulates temperature, it's having taste and very sensitive to touch. And the next is occipital lobe, it's a center of vision. Okay, that is why it is said that don't beat anyone in the back of head. Occipital lobe is consisting this cerebellum, sorry, just below occipital lobe cerebellum is present, and occipital is also a very important part of brain. It is responsible for the vision. So that is why it is said that don't beat anyone in the back of brain. Now temporal lobe, temporal lobe is directly connected to auditory. or hearing purpose. And also it is responsible for olfactory means smell, and varicose area or to understand speech. Okay, so these are the functions of different lobes. Now we will conclude the class as it is 9 o'clock. You are having a next class. So any doubt, any question, we will discuss it tomorrow. Sorry for the questions and doubt. If you are having any questions, you can put in the middle of class.
Ma'am, in the temporal lobe, what is the last one you said? Can you kindly repeat it?
Yes?
In temporal lobe, ma'am,
Hmm?
last one. What is it? Can you kindly repeat?
What is the?
What is the name of that particular area, ma'am? Temporal lobe.
Vericus,
Last one.
Verricus, Verricus, vericus area.
What does that
Yes.
mean?
That means
Vericus,
understanding.
Now, what does
That
it
means
literally mean?
understanding speech. Means I am telling you something and you are understanding that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
That is understanding speech, varicose area.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So sit comfortably, upright your spine, close your eyes, adapt namaskar mudra in front of your chest. And breathe in deep and long. And repeat the prayer. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Now rub your palms. Put those palms on your facial muscles. Feel the warmth.